Let's talk now about DNA replication. What does it mean to say we have a DNA replication? Simply, it means that we are making a copy of the DNA. So we are copying the DNA. Now, why the cells need to do DNA replication or to copy their DNA in order for the cell to divide. Later in this chapter, we will understand the cell division, but we can think of it now in a simple way. So this is a cell that it has two chromosomes, and this cell need to divide to give daughter cells, two cells. Now, if it has only two chromosomes and it's going to divide, so it means that each cell is going to get, for example, one chromosome, or sometimes, or maybe one cell will get both chromosomes and the other cell will get nothing. All of these cells are not going to survive because for the cell to survive, it has to have the full copy of the DNA. It can't survive with half copy of the DNA or without DNA. It cannot survive. So it needs to have the full copy of the DNA. So what's going to happen is that the cell is going to have or make additional copy of its DNA. So when the cell is dividing, each daughter cell is going to get full copy of the DNA. That is why the cells are going through DNA replication. Let's see the basic concepts of DNA replication. And I will make some drawing to make it easier for us to understand. So we know that the DNA is made out of two strands. These two strands complement each other. So I will randomly put a sequence of DNA and I will complete the sequence on the other strand. And by the way, you need to be able to complete the sequence of DNA. So in the exam, I might provide you with a sequence of DNA like this one, not this particular one, but an example. And you need to be able to find the complement strand based on this. So you will always, in DNA, you will bind the T with A and the C with G. So you need to know this. Anyway, let's go back to the DNA replication. So what's going to happen that in order for the DNA to be replicated, there will be an enzyme. This enzyme will come and open the two strands and wind them. You don't need to worry about this enzyme, but you need to worry about another enzyme that would come and start binding to the one of the strands. This enzyme is called DNA polymerase. And this enzyme would start reading the sequence of the DNA. So every time it reads a letter, it will complement it. It will add the opposite letter. And this enzyme will keep moving along the strand. So at the end, we will have, let's assume that this enzyme now is here. So at the end, we are going to have a strand that is complementing the original strand, right? So at the end, we are going to have a strand that is complementing the original strand. Now this is in light blue. The same thing for the other strand. There will be an enzyme, although it's going to be moving in a different way, but at the end, we are going to have another strand that is going to complement the original strand. Right? So here, if you can see, we ended up having a green and light blue, and here we ended up having red and the yellow strand. Now, each one of these two strands will go to a daughter cell. So we started with the mother cell. This is the mother cell. Originally it had red and green, but because of the DNA replication, each daughter cells got, for example, this one got the green and a new strand that is the light blue, whereas the other daughter got the red and a newly synthesized strand that is the yellow one. So here each daughter cell got an original copy of DNA plus a newly synthesized copy of the DNA or strand of DNA. So each daughter cell got an original strand and a new strand. Original strand and new. Therefore, we can say that the original DNA was preserved. We did not lose it. It just split between the daughter cells. Therefore, DNA replication is called semi-conservative process because it maintained half of the original DNA in each daughter cell. So that is the DNA replication. You need, of course, to understand the overall process. You need to know the name of the enzyme. You need to know how you will convert from DNA between the nucleotide of the DNA. So this is a summary of the DNA replication. Another process we need to understand is the protein synthesis. And to understand the protein synthesis, also we are going to do some drawing. So for the protein synthesis, we need to remember that the cells within their nucleus, we will have the DNA, right? And the DNA is important because it contains the genetic information. So everything in our body is controlled by the genetic information. Our hair color, for example, our skin color, our personality, our body type, all of this is based on these genetic information. Now, on the DNA, on the sequences of these nucleotides on the DNA, this genetic information is embedded within something called gene. So the gene is a piece of the DNA that has genetic information for making at least one protein. So it's a piece of the chromosome, it's a piece of the DNA located on the chromosome that it has the genetic information to make one protein. This protein could be hemoglobin, could be a hormone, could be anything. Now, the problem is that this genetic information is embedded in the language of the DNA, the nucleotide. And this language, only certain organelles can understand it. So it's not a common language. The common language of the body is the proteins. Like cells, when they want to communicate between each other, sometimes they will send the proteins to communicate between each other. They recognize each other through the proteins, and so on. So this is the language of the body. But to make the proteins, we have to convert this genetic information from the DNA into protein. And that is the process that we are going to study, the protein synthesis. The protein synthesis is 2 steps. The first step is something called the transcription. And the second step is translation. We need to remember again that DNA is within the nucleus, right? So transcription, it means converting the information into something called messenger RNA. Then translation is translating the information from messenger RNA into protein. So we can think of the messenger RNA as a mediator in this process. Also, to understand how this is happening, let's draw a cell nucleus. We understand here is the DNA. We need to convert this DNA. This is the DNA. We need to convert this DNA into messenger RNA. This is the transcription. This is step 1. Okay. Then this mRNA would leave the nucleus into the cytoplasm, and it will be converted from messenger RNA into proteins. And this is step 2, the translation. So let's see some of the details about this process. Again, we will have the DNA as a double helix. An enzyme will come and unwind the double helix. It will expose the sequence of the DNA. Then another enzyme would come and bind into this sequence. This enzyme is called RNA polymerase. Over there it was DNA polymerase. If we go all the way up, here it was DNA polymerase. But down, since we want to make RNA, this is RNA polymerase. RNA polymerase is going to make messenger RNA. So again, it's going to come and bind and read these sequences. Again, I'm randomly putting sequences here. So the RNA polymerase will come and bind and will start to make complement sequences. However, over there we said that A will be converted to T, C will be converted to G. In making RNA, so this was with the DNA, in making RNA it's not like this. In making RNA, A will be converted to U, T will be converted to A, C will be converted to G, and G will be converted to C. So the difference is here. that there is no thymine in RNA, only uracil. So when the RNA polymerase come and start reading, there is A, and instead of making it thymine, it will read it or convert it to uracil. Then A, C, G, and so on. This RNA polymerase will continue reading. Let's assume it's here now. So it's making a strand of messenger RNA. This is the messenger RNA. Once the RNA polymerase reaches the end, it will pop itself off the DNA, and the DNA would reform the double helix again. So there is nothing going to happen to the DNA. We will restore the entire DNA. However, now we have a copy of the messenger RNA. This is a copy of the genetic information. The original copy is here in the DNA. This is a copy of it. The original information are here, and this is a copy of it. Think of the DNA as the blueprint of anything, like a precious book that you can't take it out of the library. However, the library would allow you to take a copy of it. So you'll take it to the machine and make some copies and take the copies to study them. But the original book would remain in the library. This is the same concept. The original instruction would remain in the nucleus, but you are allowed, or the body allowed, to make a copy of these instructions and take them. And usually the body will make hundreds of thousands of messenger RNA every time for each gene. So even if we got like 5,000 wrong, it's not a big deal. We can easily discard them as long as we have the original copy intact. However, we cannot afford that we have mistakes in the original copy. This might lead to cancer, for example, if we have mistakes in the original copy. But having mistakes in the messenger RNA copies, it's not a big deal. So now the messenger RNA is ready. So we are done with the transcription. The messenger RNA will move to the cytoplasm, and in the cytoplasm, it will bind to the ribosomes. The ribosomes would come and sit on the messenger RNA. And the ribosomes also can read the nucleotide. However, they are going to read each 3 nucleotide as one unit, as one word. So for example, ACG or AGC, this is one word, one meaning. TAT, this is a second word, and so on. And technically, instead of saying word, we will say these are amino acids. So each triplet of this nucleotide on the messenger RNA means or correspond with a specific amino acid. So when the ribosome is reading them, it understands, for example, that ACG is for a specific amino acid. So it will bring that amino acid and bind to it. Then the ribosome will move to the second one. The ribosome would move to the second triplet, and it will read it and will bring its corresponding amino acid and bind it, and so on. So every time, go back to here, every time there is a triplet, the ribosome would bring the specific amino acid that corresponding to that triplet. And at the end, once the ribosome is done with all of the triplets, we will have a line of amino acids. That is the primary structure. So the sequence of these amino acids is coming based on the sequence of the nucleotide in the DNA. Not directly, but through the messenger RNA with the aid of the ribosome that converted these triplets into amino acids. That is simply the protein synthesis. You need to understand that we have a DNA, we have RNA, we have RNA polymerase. You need to understand also that we have transcription happening in the nucleus, we have translation happening in the cytoplasm, and we have the ribosomes in the cytoplasm converting the mRNA into amino acids. This is a brief summary of what we talked about, and this is how the messenger RNA is formed. Also, you need to be aware of the conversion between DNA and the RNA. I will stop here. When we come to the following video, we'll talk about the cell cycle.